I'm proud to be an entertainer. I'm proud of what that, role is. There's times that I can be very cynical and just think I'm just an actor. Who cares? You know what I mean? But when I think about this movie going out into the world in this trying time, it's like I'm happy to be an entertainer. I'm happy to kind of participate in the cultural dialogue in that way.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Lee Pace is an actor. He sat down with me in New York City to talk about the work.
Do you have a series of preparation steps that you do that has evolved over your whole career that now you know, okay, this is what I need to do now to just prepare for the role?
Well, I very rarely find myself playing a role that I'm not interested in. And it's not to say that it hasn't happened, because it has happened, but I only now kind of find myself playing roles that I'm really interested in. So it is the beginning of my favorite part of playing a role, which is the research, and whether, the character that I played in Driven was a real man, so there was a ton of research to do, or when I played fictional characters in the past, like Joe McMillan or even Ned with Pushing Daisies, it's like you have to inspire yourself. You have to figure out ways to get your mind excited and into a different place. So I think that that period of time is always, it's the most private part of it, but it's the most interesting because you're really with yourself and the character for the only time that will be the case. Right. Because soon when you get on set, you're going to have other influences on the character. You're going to have the other actors, you're going to have the director. But in that chunk of time when you're, riding your bike around the city or doing, your errands during the day, you're going to be thinking about the scenes and the characters and layering in the impressions you've gotten from the research that you've done, the little memories of your own life or things you've observed in life that are applicable to the character. It's just the only time that work is private. And it doesn't really feel like these days like there's like a specific process to it for me. It's just I'm interested in it, and I'm wanting to let my mind go in whatever direction it wants to go to gather all of the different little impressions and tools that I'm going to need.
The idea that this is the only time where it's just you alone with the character, it makes me think like that's why it's really important, because you're laying a foundation that only you can lay. And if you don't lay that foundation through what you're talking about, even just thinking about it, or other influences can corrupt the flow of it. Like I never thought of it like that.
And it's definitely like, you do lots of, trying different, because I also play a lot of characters that are very different than who I am. So I end up trying out new physicalities or ways of saying things, trying to understand the accent better, or, letting that dialect work fit inside my mouth. So I try it out in lots of different ways that are really probably embarrassing, and it's probably better if no one does see them. Yeah. But like with John DeLorean, I wanted to talk more like him. I didn't want to replicate his voice, but I wanted to understand his cadence and the way he tried to make sense of things.
There also seems to be a way you move as him, like in that first scene, like you just have a way you commanded your presence.
Yeah, well, but I think a lot of that is just that stuff you do when you're like rehearsing alone with stuff, because that's where you're going to throw out 90% of it anyway. You don't want to get too hard and fast, or at least I wouldn't want to be inflexible about choices at that point. You just kind of want to try a lot of different stuff on. I do anyway. That's just the way my mind works in lots of different directions.
And really that's because the director is going to change things there, or the environment's going to be changed because of where you are. That's what you mean by 90% of it gets thrown out. Like you don't want to be
I don't want to feel like I've got to do it this way, or it's the only way I can possibly do it, because it's filmmaking is such a collaborative thing. And I have felt on set, I don't know how to do it any other way than this way that I've rehearsed it. And I don't like to be in that position. And I don't think it's fair to the director or the other actors really to kind of be too fixed on what your point of view is. It's just not that role on set. There are roles. I think a writer, if they've got the conviction of what they've written, should be very fixed as this is what's written, and figure out a way to put it in your mouth, Yeah. But I don't know. I like to feel not fixed and flexible about things, because it more replicates life than when you're actually doing it. Yeah. It feels like that in a way. It's more, basically what I do is help the director tell their story. That's all I have to do, and I want to make that my job in a way. But to do that, I think I would like to be flexible so that I'm able to help them understand their story better and be inspired by their story in a new way. Because you only get that chance once on set when you're there to shoot the scene. You just get the opportunity once when the cameras are set up. Yeah. You don't want to try to recreate something you did in your bathroom mirror. That's not a good look.
You said something once about a bit of direction. And the way you said it was this, about Barry Sonnenfeld. You said, he gave me great notes that I think about to this day. When I heard that, I leaned in, because I was like, what is this going to be? And then you said, the note was, do everything you're doing, but do it faster.
It's the best note.
Okay, tell me why that's the best note. Because some people I've talked to, they're like, they've made fun of that exact note.
I just think, I'll just speak as an audience member now. I feel like most of the things that I watch, I'm just like, yeah, I know. Get to it. Just get to it. Yeah, I see. You're feeling bad. You know what I mean? Just get to it.
You would like to have like a button where you can make them speak faster?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like, I feel like I think it's a contemporary acting thing to kind of milk your moment or make it, or you feel as though you have, and I know the reason Barry gave me that note is because I needed it at the time. I felt as though I needed to show the audience certain steps of my work. It's like showing your math teacher that you understand it, as opposed to trusting that you've done that work and just say what you mean to say. Yeah. People speak fast in life. They don't feel like they need to make every color of every sentence, illuminated with some kind of, point of view. Mm-hmm. It's such it just gets you out of your own way, that note. I give it to myself all the time. And I tell you where you really feel that note is when you're on stage, because it's you have to just get to it.
Yeah. So this is an example of how that you're saying that worked for you at that time, and it works for you. Continue. You keep giving yourself that note. This is a note that somebody gave to you at that time that really helped you, and it keeps helping you.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's like somebody else might take that note and be like, that is very. I don't know what that's not. There's no. This is results oriented.
But I'm sure it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? And I don't mind a results oriented note. Some people communicate in that way. That's fine. You just have to decode what they're trying to, how you have to take on that thing. Not everyone is going to communicate to you in your language, but you still have to understand what you need to understand to do the scene that you need to do.
That's really important.
It benefits you to understand what they have in mind, not to get caught up on the language that they use.
Right.
But like with
that's good.
But with like Barry's note, he wanted it fast, quite frankly, because I was like, because I'm sure I argued with him, because I can be very argumentative. I was like, yeah, but don't you see all the acting I'm doing? Don't you want to move in tighter because of all this great acting? He's like, no, I'm going to do it again, and you're going to say it faster, because it forces a cut. Oh. If you talk slow, the only way that they're going to be able to speed up the scene is by cutting to the other person and then speeding up your dialogue. So if they're going to need to speed up the scene, they're going to have to cut into it. Boy, you say that to an actor, watch them speak fast. Watch how fast they'll go.
Never thought of that.
But it's like, but that was technically what he needed. But I want him to have what he needs.
Right.
I want to know that information so that I have what I need to do. Give him what he needs to make it as good as it can be. But I mean, like I said, there's no cuts on stage. But even more so, it's like you're in charge of your own pacing, and better to just get to it. Yes. Mean everything you say, but get to the point. Say what you think, what you need to say.
I had the actor Damon Harriman on a couple weeks ago. He plays Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was talking about how Tarantino did something where he showed him what he wanted by like this body language thing. I'm not describing this right. He basically said, all right, so Damon, you're going to come over here, and Manson comes, and he started using his body. Tarantino started using his body. And then I saw an interview that you did where you were describing Spielberg.
Yeah, he did that.
Doing that on Lincoln.
Yeah.
Like, and you said you came in and you saw him. I find this fascinating because I haven't heard of this. In a way, he showed you how he wanted it done without saying it.
He just, I guess I could try to deconstruct what he was thinking, but the truth was he understood what the movie he was making is. He understood how the character functioned in the movie, and this is kind of where his creativity went. So, and he was, and so I kind of took it from there. And because I felt like such a freedom on that set with him to play that character big and be performative with that character. And it was, that was a really cool experience, just because that whole room was full of a bunch of actors, like all of the different congressmen from different parts of the states. They'd all researched from Doris Kearns Goodwin's book. I'm a Republican from Maine. This is my point of view. So it's like you had this like room full of scene partners that was just alive in it. But yeah, Spielberg, he gave me just like a little bit of physicality, and I had worked on those lines. I've done a lot of, it was such fascinating research to do on that movie. So it's like kind of on set, all you need to begin with is like a little bit of inspiration. Yeah. And you don't know.
Yeah. It's almost like a physical line reading, like just a way that he is showing you without actually telling you.
Yeah. You kind of see what they have in mind. And sometimes the best way to communicate is not like tiptoeing around an actor and using the different actor, words that they're already used. And it's sometimes I don't mind a line reading. I just kind of want to understand what the point of view is, because then I can figure out if it works or not. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I'll try anything, but I want to feel good about what I've done before we move on.
Yeah. Yes. When you think about the best work you've done, or when you feel like you were able to give everything to the work, when you think about that, can you extract the DNA of the situation? Like, meaning, what mattered there? Was it the environment? Was it what the director was or wasn't doing? Was it how prepared you were? And do you try to recompose that DNA in other situations?
Well, as the actor on the set, you really don't. It's not really your job to recreate or do anything. It's kind of to be responsive to a situation. I think the most important thing is casting. It's like what it comes down to is if I've been well cast in something, then it works out better than when I'm not well cast in something. And I don't think I've always, I am proud of everything I've done, but there are times that I feel like that character, it was good casting, because I'm always going to bring the level of work that I've got to it. I don't know.
Is it on you to choose or not choose something?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
What if everybody's saying, you're right for this, lady, you're thinking, I'm not. But everybody, all your trusted
But there's
people.
always these different other reasons to do jobs. money, to work with, this director that everyone says you should work with, and you're reading the character and going, I don't get it. Like, I don't get this. You know what I mean? And then the movie comes out and you're like, see? Like, why didn't I listen to my instincts? I mean, I guess I'm older now and I kind of trust my point of view when it comes to that. Like, I can't find the idea of doing something I don't really get excited about and feel like I can do my best work in is just not going to be appealing to me. But I wish I'd had that when I was younger. I probably, I don't think there's many situations like that. But yeah, there's definitely been times when I've been like, I didn't understand that character and I did it anyway, and I probably shouldn't have.
I audited an acting class last night. A student there said to the teacher, I was so nervous right before the scene that I didn't even know what the scene that I was doing was anymore. That's how nervous I was. Is there anything you can tell me? And the teacher said, don't worry about it.
It's true. No one cares how you feel. Really.
What?
Like, actors think that their emotions are super important, and they're not. Do you know who else feels that way? Toddlers. They're not. It's like a part of what... No one cares how you felt when you did it. It's not important. What's important is the story, the scene.
But wait. I loved hearing you talk about how horrible of a time it was for you to do Angels in America. Mm-hmm. You were not saying it's fun. You were saying this is not fun. Mm-hmm. This is... I'm nervous every night. I'm terrified. You were using the word terrified. And people were laughing, and you were laughing kind of, and I was like, this is good to hear, because a lot of people are like, this could be the peak thing. You're in our great play of our generation. Mm-hmm. But you're still able to say, this is not, acting can be not fun, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
it's, I mean, you can't, look, if people want to have fun acting, then that's there's definitely possibilities. I've had so much fun doing this job. It wasn't during Angels in America that I had a good time, but it was such a privilege to be a part of, and I learned so much about myself and about being on stage and about the work that I do playing that role. But that role is, to really walk in Joe Pitt's shoes is gonna fucking hurt. Yeah. That's just the way that one's gonna go. And I didn't know to the extent that it would hurt going into it. So every night I would get out on stage. I guess how could you really? But every night it would start, I would just get this knot in my stomach. It was nerves about all of the technical things that we had to think about during that play, but also just the exposure of having to play that character's arc over the next 8 hours. Yeah. That it gives me chills even now to think about, the experience of doing that, of repeating that painful story. And in my mind, I would do all of these acrobatic, Joe ends the play much better off than he began the play. He's doing that impossibly hard thing of realizing who he is, shedding his skin, and dealing with, the realities of his life, which it's going to hurt everyone around him. It's going to, leave him naked and afraid in the cold. But he'll be better off for doing it, because you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to change. And I would do that think, oh, well, he's going to be better off. Everything's going to be happy. It's going to be okay at the end. I could write these stories of, after this, Joe's going to live happily on the beach, renting surfboards to people and get as far away from New York and Roy Cohn as he could possibly go, and Mormons and everything. But who knows if that's even true? It doesn't matter. it doesn't matter any of that stuff, because the play is the thing, and it's gonna hurt because it's a good play, and life hurts sometimes, and I'm still decoding what that experience was.
I have serious judgments against the Marvel films. Like I'm a snob. I've tried to watch some of them. I've failed to watch them. I have such a judgment against them that I was starting to think I want to start to shame actors who are doing them. Like that was my
Are
my
you starting
thoughts.
with me?
and just today, I put on the panel that you were doing at Seattle Comic-Con, and I started watching it, and I was laughing. I was almost falling off my chair laughing at the people. And I was showing my wife, and I was like, this is like a Saturday Night Live episode. And then about a half hour later, I was hoping my wife wasn't coming back in the room, because I was on the verge of tears with these people. These people were so genuine. These movies moved them so much. They were up there, and some of these people wanted to be actors, and the way they were asking the questions, man, I'm going to cry right now. You know, it was like a transformative thing. Like I don't associate with people that are so moved by these movies. And just to see them, and I'm like, oh my God, like these movies are doing something. Of course, it's the #1 movie of all time, one of these movies. But for you to be able to play Joe Pitt and move people like this, and the normal heart, you're looking in the audience, you're seeing these people being moved that live through these times. And then you're also moving these young people, and they're taken into another world through your performances in this thing. Have you taken assessment of this, and are you like, wow, this is...
Well, yeah, no, I'm proud to be an entertainer. I'm proud of what that, role is. There's times that I can be very cynical and just think I'm just an actor. Who cares? You know what I mean? But like, for example, when we did Driven down in Puerto Rico, we right before we started shooting, Hurricane Irma came through and was so destructive. We did 5 days, and then Hurricane Maria just was insanely destructive. I've never seen anything like it in my life. We all got evacuated, and I thought the movie was just toast. I didn't think we were going to be able to come back and finish it. I didn't know what was going to happen to it. But the Puerto Rican crew was, wanted to get back and finish it. We wanted to get back and finish it, and we did. And I guess the hard thing on that movie was just getting the logistics of it done. Like getting people to set, getting people with, enough ice and, fuel for their generators at their houses. Getting, people food to bring home to their neighbor who is, elderly and can't get food. Or, it just like all of the different, dealing with the aftermath of the hurricane, all of that was so complicated. The good stuff was doing the scenes and making everyone, when it gets quiet on set, and me and Jason are talking about how to set up a Coke deal to save a car company. It takes on a sense of humor and lightness that everyone in that room watches. And when I think about this movie going out into the world in this trying time, it's like, I'm happy to be an entertainer. I'm happy to kind of participate in the cultural dialogue in that way.
Lee Pace, thank you. Hope we could do this again.
I hope so. Thank you very much for talking to me. I really enjoyed the interview.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of IFP, the Independent Filmmaker Project. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.